in space, high above the world of weather. Tonight, over San Francisco, New York, and Miami. At dawn, approaching Honolulu, over London, Paris, Argentina. High noon, over Rome. By twilight, to Tokyo, Manila, Santiago, Joburg. Across 6 continents and 7 seas on a 24-hour schedule. What is an airways? Machinery to defy the law of gravity? Travel routes through the trackless sky? Arrivals and departures on time? In-flight service? Food service? Reservations? Ticketing? Cargo and sales? Airmail service? A travel agent who knows the world? All of this. Mass air transportation for the world's every need.
If you want the whole story, you've got to go back to when I first came with the company, when she was just hatching out of the egg. 1927, a wild year that was. Bathtub gin and hot jazz. Lindbergh made it non-stop to Paris, and the movies came out with talking pictures. Year 1 was just 3 Fokker F-7s, linen fuselage and wooden wings to float if necessary. Fly the first foreign airmail contract, 90 miles over water from Key West, Florida to Havana, Cuba. Off to a flying start at 85 miles an hour, providing all 3 engines worked at the same time. When the wind was with us, traffic and sales had 10 seats to fill. Fares were high, and folks were frightened.
From Havana, across the Caribbean, Lindbergh and music cruised on the wings of a Sikorsky duck, scouting skyway after skyway. Blazing trade routes for the first multi-engine air transport fleet to sail the ocean air.
Through the courtesy of characters who smelled wetness and heat, swatted mosquitoes and shivered with malaria, pushed underbrush and overgrowth, swam rivers without bridges, 'cause we wanted to fly.
A new kind of merchant marine, flying the American flag, sailing by instrument to ports wherever land meets sky. Ride the radio beam, Miami to Nassau, San Juan by Dida out of Havana, Santiago, Port-au-Prince, and Santo Domingo. A week later, Port Spain, Trinidad, Paramaribo, then Cristobal and Belize, Mexico through Tampico and on to Guatemala. Then Santiago via Guayaquil, Lima and Antofagasta, Buenos Aires, Montevideo and Curacao, through Cartagena and Barranquilla, Haiti, Panama, Brazil, Peru, Chile, and then the Argentine. These places of the magic names to stir the soul of a dreamer and quicken the pulse of the businessman.
Talk about blazing trails. There was hardly a month we didn't rack up some new first on the fly in the face of seasonal hurricanes, snowstorms above the Andes. Service was more than 99% perfect.
An old salt once said, "Mates, when you've crossed your first ocean, the rest are duck soup." But he wasn't talking about flying over like a duck, and not the widest, hottest plate of soup on earth.
The Pacific has the world's widest collection of wind, rough water, and weather. Everyone always complains about the weather. Well, PAA can't change it, but we sure can tell you what it's going to be.
Here in Alameda, California, by the shore of the Pacific, 7 men in a Martin 130 are scheduled to make the longest overwater flight ever dreamed of by any airline. And what a crew! 5 of the 7 are transport pilots, 3 are registered aeronautical engineers, 2 are master mariners, 2 others have navigation papers. Their training will give you some idea of the preparation behind America's conquest of an ocean.
China Clipper, Captain Music, stand by for station reports. China Clipper, you have your sailing orders. Cast off and depart. 13 flyers have lost their lives trying to wing the 2,400 miles from California to Honolulu.
How does a company fly the Pacific?
The North Haven sailed on for Guam and Manila. The lonely ones left at Wake were promised a Santa Claus plane on Christmas Eve. But there wasn't a blonde stateside who believed we could fly across the Pacific. Oh. This is how a company flies the Pacific.
We interrupt this program to bring you the latest report on the China Clipper. After 18 hours at sea, the Pan American flying boat is at this moment landing safely in Pearl Harbor at Honolulu, right on schedule.
One great step forward, 5 to go. In September of '39, along with autumn, out of the air above Europe, there came a terrible sound.
On May 20th, 4 months before, in Washington, D.C., the Civil Aeronautics Administration had issued a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Pan American Airways. Assignment, fly the Atlantic. 24 hours later, the Pan American Yankee Clipper took from Port Washington, Manhasset Bay, Long Island. Mission, fly another ocean. Make the 3 years of our North Atlantic survey pay off for an international emergency. Run an aerial exodus for refugees of American origin. A scheduled evacuation from our base in Lisbon. Matter of life or death. America was concerned. Airmail to Europe zoomed. The traffic for the human heart flew both ways.
December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor, Honolulu. Wake, Midway, Guam, Manila, in the same flames.
In that splitting second, PAA at Pearl Harbor was on the radio beam with a code phrase for a plan of action. Plan A, signed by Tripp. Plan A, signed by Tripp. Plan A, signed by Tripp.
Pick up anything you can, but don't send anything. Enemy planes are still out there. We've got to get away from here fast. Change course. Instead of Pearl, Hilo tonight. Tomorrow, San Francisco. We're at war, fellas.
At Wake Island, the Philippine Clipper was machine gunned, but took off safely with a full cabin of evacuees. The Hong Kong Clipper took a direct hit at her dock in Hong Kong. Sunk. The Pacific Clipper escaped into the clouds off Auckland, New Zealand. 1 month later, Flight Watch, LaGuardia Seaplane Base, New York, picked up a message from the darkness above.
Pacific Clipper inbound from Auckland, New Zealand. Captain Ford reporting. Due to arrive Marine Terminal LaGuardia in 7 minutes.
The Pacific Clipper had sneaked around the world under radio silence, 31,500 miles to safety, without weather reports, sea bases, or service stations, breaking all records by flying the longest continuous trip ever made by a commercial plane, and the first round-the-world flight in Pan American's history.
Reported for ATC and NATS around the alarm clock from 2400 to 2400. And my draft board kept sending me greetings.
We ferried bombers for the Army, ferried a battlefield FOB, and served as a squadron in the Navy on the QT. Enemy fighters, 12 o'clock high.
We ran the African Safario, from the Pentagon to the Nile and return. The Cannonball to Calcutta, cargo to the Belgian Congo, 102 in the shade. High above the Irrawaddy, over the barrier peaks of Arakan Yoma. Guard them with your life, because it is your life. Back home, my mother got the idea from my letters that we were flying to just one place, called Censored.
Curse K rations gracefully in a couple of languages.
Our PAA air-sea rescue squads had a field day and night. Find them, keep them floating. Boy, we were so busy I never even had a chance to miss Texas. That is Brownsville. But it felt good to be carrying passengers again. A lot of Texans, too.
To fool the enemy, Boogie Woogie was broadcast on our direction beam.
Pumping these Himalayas isn't so dangerous. Weather's much too bad for enemy fighters to be up tonight.
More experience, more new horizons. Each year bigger than the one before. Ocean crossings? By the thousands. Passengers? By the million.
A new era opening up, a new age being born, the age of mass transportation for the world, the age of the jet.
We'd had a date coming with this baby for a long time. We didn't just stand around waiting for her. We went to the drawing board and helped to create her. Curtain going up on the age of the jet.
We'd come a long way from the 1920s. From a one-story building on a goony bird island to a skyscraper in the heart of Manhattan, towering up 59 stories above Park Avenue, the world's largest commercial office building. What the jet added up to was more space, faster flights, more cargo than any airline in the world.
A new frontier in cargo. You name it, we send it. Worldwide marketing, with offices at every key crossroad.
Across the arc of the continents, man reaches out to man. At the far end of this morning, Paris is waiting. Rome and Rio de Janeiro, Tokyo and Tehran. It took half a century to produce this one moment. Skilled hands and trained minds on 6 continents. The key turns in the lock. The great door swings open. The pure sky stretches away to the ends of the world. The earth stretches away to a new horizon.